first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, appreciate you joining us here. You know, we start broadcasting every weekday at 1 p.m., and we are on our website, we're on our apps, we're on our social media channels, so lots of places to engage and watch the show. And right now, though, this segment is something we were talking about here at Fox 12 Oregon, and also talking to some other people outside of here about bugs. And bugs, I realize, is a catch-all term. I'm talking about spiders, I'm talking about insects, and everything associated with that with a lot of legs. And I am not an expert. I want to make sure that's very clear here, and I doubt there was any confusion on that. But the thing is, here in the Pacific Northwest, you know that every year around this time, you start seeing some of the same things. Those spiders that show up out of nowhere and are everywhere, covering your door or your garden or your plants. Those, you know what I'm talking about just by saying that. Also the box elder bugs and stink bugs, all of those things that we start seeing everywhere. I wanted to find out more information about that, about why that is, and if there's anything to be concerned about or what you can do about it, and just any kind of information in general. And that is why I'm excited for this segment from the Bugs Need Heroes podcast. We are joined now by the experts. We've got Kelly Zimmerman and Amanda Niday. And Kelly and Amanda, thank you very much for joining us here today. This is it's an interesting subject that, again, I'm excited to learn from you two. And I think to start off, can you tell us just a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having us. Yeah, I'm Kelly Zimmerman. I'm a doctoral candidate at Montclair State University. Right now I study mosquitoes, but I've got a master's degree in ecology and evolutionary biology, where I studied other arthropods as well, which is another fancy word for bugs. And now I've got this great podcast with my co-host Amanda.
And hi, Amanda.
Hi. My background is in illustration and art history, and I also went through the PSU program for comic book studies. So basically, I'm just the everyman nerd who wanted to learn more about bugs, and luckily Kelly was there to teach me.
That's a perfect combo, and you can both teach all of us now. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I think the first question I wanted to ask, and this is very Northwest oriented, but what is it specifically about the Pacific Northwest in, say, fall time that I guess what kind of insects do we normally see? What kind of bugs do we normally see in the Pacific Northwest in the fall?
Well, your winters in the Pacific Northwest are pretty mild. I'm on the East Coast, so we have a little bit of a different theme here. Although I guess right now we're kind of warm too. But you'll start to see some of the same bugs every year coming around your home. You mentioned that cross orb weaver spider. They're pretty annoying this time of year.
Yes, I know we're going to get into those too. They are super annoying.
The good news is the reason why we love to live in the Pacific Northwest is that it's nice and mild. We don't ever really get so hot that it's like then it doesn't get so cold that everything just dies off. So the bugs can stay here pretty much all year round without truly ever dying off. So that's why they come out this time of year, and that's why they love it, because it's nice and mild here in the Pacific Northwest.
Because we don't have those extremes of one way or another.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Well, let's see. Should we go in here and talk about some of these? Because I've got pictures, and Derek, who's not here, sent me a bunch of pictures, I believe, that he took actually out in the field, showing some of the different ones. And the first one right here, I think we're all familiar with, and that's I always say it wrong. I just call it a fuzzy caterpillar, but it's the woolly bear caterpillar. Is that right?
Yes, woolly bear. We love the woolly bear. I feel like we used to see a ton of them all the time when I was a kid, and I think that's more related to that I was scrounging around in the dirt as a kid. But if you want to have woolly caterpillars near your house, you need to be leaving leaf litter piles for them to hang out in. Otherwise, they're not going to be around. So if your yard is pristine, you will not have woolly bears. But if you've got even just a little corner where they can hang out, that's where you'll find them. And they like to be in that leaf litter and stay nice and warm and cozy over the winter. There's some fun lore about how long or short their stripes are. That's how mild or intense the winter is going to be.
Really?
I haven't seen. Yeah, that's the lore. I don't know. I can't vouch for the meteorological acumen of a bug.
There
But
were a few studies that tried to test the accuracy of the bands of a woolly bear, and they were inconclusive. So I
I
think
love that
for
they were
fun, we
inconclusive,
could say
but, like,
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
we can't
so,
say no, but we're gonna say maybe.
Okay, it's possible. It's possible they predict the weather. But these, they and you do. I feel like I used to see them a lot more too. But I also was when I was a kid scrounging around. I would try to keep them as pets, which didn't work out well. But there's that is something that's just so common around here. Is that unique to the Northwest, or does this just happen to be the time of year when these come out?
It's just that time of year. We have them over
Yeah.
here on the East Coast as well,
Okay.
and you'll get them north into Canada as well. Woolly
Okay.
bears are so cool. You actually get them into the Arctic, where they will hibernate and they freeze. Woolly bears have special hemolymph, which is science term for bug blood, and it lets them completely freeze in the winter and then thaw out when the spring comes. And they do this repeatedly and more often in the colder climates.
What? They can freeze?
They
So they're like
completely
superheroes.
freeze, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that is wild. So but that's definitely something I think we're all used to seeing. And that I don't know many people who are creeped out by those, by the woolly bear caterpillars. I mean,
They're very
They're
cute.
pretty friendly, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that one, that's a good one. The next one that we mentioned earlier, this is something that I have to admit that I am not a fan of, and I have a ton of them all around my house right now. And I've got some of the pictures here. Let me pull this up. This is these guys. These things right here, specifically this picture, I feel like everybody's familiar with that. They love my front door. And this is, I always call them garden spiders, but I mean, I probably don't know the right term, so it's not a garden spider. Can you tell us what that is?
These are cross orb weavers. They have other common names too, and they love to build webs right at eye level, which
Yes.
is why they're the most annoying spiders this time of year.
Is that an official study? Are they the most annoying spider? Have they done a study on that?
That's what I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid, and in the middle of the night, I'd come downstairs to get something to drink, and one of them had built a web right across the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, and I touched my nose to the abdomen of the spider before I realized what was going on.
No, that's not. No, nobody needs to be doing that. That's terrible. Well, tell us about the cross orb weaver spider. What is it that brings it out so much, like right this time of year?
It's warm. They've got plenty of space to move around. Other bugs have kind of started to call it quits for the fall. So the orb weavers are setting up shop to collect as many insects as they can before it's time for them to kind of go for the winter. And they just happen to be in the way and everywhere this time of year for people.
Is there
The good
any?
news-
Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
the good news is that the outer edge of their webs is not sticky. So if you can get the outer edge and knock that down, it'll collapse the whole web out of your way. The bad news is that they will rebuild in the same spot several times before they catch the hint that, like, this isn't a good spot. I got to move on. So they will move on eventually if you knock down their web enough. But if you don't want to have to touch any stickiness, that outer edge, the structural hold is not sticky. So just take a stick and swipe them out of the way that way.
That is a good tip. That's a good tip on that. Any other tips when dealing with the orb weaver spiders?
Well, they're not dangerous. So if you do happen to touch one, whether it be on your nose or your hand, they're not going to hurt you. They'd rather you just put them anywhere away from you. You got to imagine we're so much bigger than they are, and people always say they're more afraid of you than you are of them. And you may not feel that way now, but it's the truth.
But they are not dangerous, no matter how big they get, which, again, that can also be one of them. I had to clarify that this morning.
That's a big mama right there.
It's a big one, yeah.
Ugh.
She's getting ready to go do her mommy thing with a booty that large.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. So something terrible is going to be happening if you see that one.
Oh, the miracle of life. Come on.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant. Okay, that's good to know, because I was like, are these two different spiders? But that is the same one. That is just one full of other nightmares. So you've got, but again, like you said, they're safe. They're not harmful. I do have a question though, because you mentioned the tip of taking down the web and going around the outside because it's not sticky. You do that enough times, apparently they'll move on. but then all of a sudden they're just all gone. Where are they?
Well, they end up dying for the winter.
Okay, they are. Okay.
Yeah,
They're
their
not
eggs
hiding,
will
lying in wait.
overwinter.
They're gone.
No.
Okay.
All right. They're not creeping somewhere waiting for you to be unsuspecting. They
Okay.
Unfortunately, the reality of bug life is that it's not very long for most bugs.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I always want to clarify that. Make sure there's not something hidden somewhere. Okay. So anything else that we should know about the Orb Weaver?
If you don't like to have pests around your house, he's a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Although he himself might be considered a pest. But all the other bugs, he's eating them. So maybe he's your friend after all.
So okay. So these guys actually are kind of helping out a little bit. All right. The next one that we have here on the list, and this is one that I've ever since I was a kid. And we've got this picture here. So I think most people are familiar with this. That's usually like a little bit more red in there. But these are box elder bugs. And they seem to be everywhere. And there's like thousands and thousands of them that just show up out of nowhere. What can you tell us about the box elder bug?
Well, first of all, unlike our friends the orb weavers, these do want to hang out and overwinter. And sometimes they end up in your house, which can be pretty irritating. But they're also not harmful. You can just move them on out. And they're not native to the Pacific Northwest. So box elder bugs are from the East Coast and have been moved over there. They are named after the box elder tree, which is a type of maple. And they kind of hang out on your native maples in the PNW.
So they're invasive then, technically?
They're non-native.
Non-native,
Because they're not really hurting the other insects in the air. They're not causing trouble. They're not causing ecological problems.
They've moved from an East Coast maple to a West Coast maple. And that's not harmful, but it is possible due to human movement.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. I definitely feel like I have brought some up from my parents' house before that like snuck in something. I just had a question here. We're live in the newsroom right now, and I heard the question being yelled. How do I keep them out of my apartment?
Oh, unfortunately, you have to seal. Yeah, I mean, the reality is you just probably have to become okay with the idea of moving them along, but because they can really squeeze through little cracks and get into your house. Because I mean, your house is nice and toasty warm.
Yeah.
I can't blame the bug for wanting to be in there too. So the only way to really keep them out is to make sure all the little seals around your windows are sealed up. They will overwinter inside of the cracks, usually in bark of trees. They'll get in there and stay there for the cold months. The side of your house to a bug, that's the same thing. The inside of your house, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
He just wants to find a nice cozy spot to stay all winter long.
Okay, so we just have to get used to it. This is it.
They don't bite, so they're easy enough to move if you have them.
They do fly. So if you're sneaking up on one, be prepared for his escape plan to fly at your face. So
in your face. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Straight for the nose.
Straight for your nose.
Yeah. That's a nightmare. But I have heard this before, and I think I was told that like for bugs, like your house is a tree. Your apartment is a tree to them. They don't know the difference. So when they get in there, those nooks and crannies, that's where they're going to go hide.
Correct.
Exactly.
I don't like it. All right. So basically, I guess the bottom line is for them, they're not dangerous. There's a lot of them, but there's the only way to really keep them out is you have everything completely sealed and then hope against hope they don't find some little small spot to get in.
Right. But like the spider, you just kind of got to move them along and hopefully they catch the hint before too long.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that's the answer that everybody wanted here, but that's what we got. So.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. The next one, and this is one that I certainly see a lot too, is that guy. You start seeing them show up in the house, and so is this a stink bug?
It's technically a stink bug, but that's more his family, unless like him specifically is a stinky bug. That's the shape of him is stink bug shaped. So he's called a stink bug, but he himself does not stink.
Gotcha. Okay, so what can you tell us about this one?
So it's very similar to the box elder bug that he wants in your house because your house is warm. The good news is these guys want less to do with you, so they are more likely to stay close to where they got in.
Yeah.
So they'll stay at the windows where they snuck in. They'll stay underneath he also doesn't fly, so he won't be coming at your face.
If you have plants, they tend to stay in your house plants as well. And this species is invasive. This comes from Asia, and is slowly outcompeting native stink bugs, at least here in the East. I'm pretty sure the same for the PNW as well.
Okay, so they actually are invasive. So should you get rid of them if you find one?
You can kill these. Yeah, it's
Okay.
totally fine to kill these on site.
Stompable.
Okay, is that a technical term? Stompable?
Yes.
Okay, so the brown mammorated stink bug is stompable, as you said. Okay, all right, but also not dangerous. Now the last one here I know is, and it seems like it's late in the year to talk about this, but apparently it's not. And it's right there, the yellow jacket or hornet. I don't know what actually the technical term is. I grew up calling them yellow jackets, but I don't know what the actual term is.
Yellow
but
jacket,
those guys,
yeah,
I don't like those guys.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like these guys.
Yeah.
I kind of, hot take, I kind of love them. I think they're very cool. But I know, Greg's shaking his head at me right now. Right now you're seeing queens. So it's time for the hive to kind of shut down. Queens and drones, which are males, are being created. These fresh queens need to mate with a male and then go find somewhere to overwinter. So the overall nest will be coming to a standstill. Everyone will die except for the queen. So if you kind of just leave her alone to do her thing and find somewhere to go for the winter, she's not really a big deal. They're a lot more annoying in the summer when they're coming for your soda and your watermelon.
Yeah. So is there something that you should do if you see one of these?
Just leave. Yeah, just don't touch them. Leave them alone. You can catch one in a jar if they happen to be in your home, and then release them outside so she can find somewhere proper to be.
Is there a benefit? You don't. I know you don't. I mean, I'm not advocating that, but is there a benefit to yellow jackets?
They're good pollinators. They do a lot of they eat a lot of pest bugs, like our friend the spider. They don't provide honey or anything like the honeybee, so not quite as cute in that way. But I should also say, if you're seeing those big nests made of like papery material hanging from the eaves of your house, those are not yellow jackets. Those are paper wasps, and they are relatively harmless as long as you're not actively trying to knock down your nest, which odds are you will be. But those guys are already gone. Those guys are gone for this year. Yellow jackets are the ones that are out, and they don't have nests. They live in burrows underground. So knocking down the little nest thing, not going to do anything for your yellow jackets.
Gotcha. Okay, so that won't do anything for those, but if you see one, just kind of let them go on their way.
Right.
Correct.
They've got their role to play in the ecosystem. So.
And unlike the bees, they can sting you more than once. So you're gonna need to leave.
I had one get under like in my hair once, so that's why I'm not a fan of these things at all. It was not a fun experience, but yeah, they can sting more than once. That's for sure. That is for sure.
They'll bite too.
Yeah.
So they're very aggro. The yellow jacket.
Yeah. All right, but if you see them now, it's the queen. Don't do anything. Let them go on their way.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, no, that's great. This is why we're learning about this. This is good to know. Well, and talking about learning, let's talk about first off, appreciate all of this information that you've just shared with us. So I think this is really interesting because these are things that we're all used to, but I really didn't have a lot of knowledge about it, and now I understand so much more. But we can find out a lot of things with your podcast. So let's talk about Bugs Need Heroes. Can you tell us how did this get started?
So Bugs Need Heroes is a podcast we make with my superhero background and Kelly's awesome bug background. We've combined those two passions into talking about there's a lot of really cool heroes out there based on animals, but not enough based on really cool bugs. So we talk about bugs throughout the episode, and while Kelly talks, I draw, and we come up with kind of on the fly heroes based off of really awesome bugs. And like you said at the top, bugs is a very catch-all term. If you're crunchy on the outside, juicy on the inside, you're a bug. We don't care about insects versus arachnids. So we've done Isabella Tiger Moth, better known as the woolly bear that we just talked about. We've talked about yellow jackets. We've made a whole bee team, kind of a Power Rangers-esque team of bees. We've talked about Hercules beetles. We've talked about all kinds of dudes. We're very excited about them, and we love them all.
Yeah,
and
they're all
based off of real
fascinating.
bugs. All based
Real
off.
Right. Every
So
bug
if you
deserves
got
its
bit
own
by a
Spider-Man.
radioactive bug, yeah, you gotta be careful about how much we mention a certain red and blue hero who loves bugs also. But if you were bitten by a radioactive woolly bear, what would your powers be?
That's
And
pretty
that one,
amazing.
that one
That
in
is.
particular is Isabella the tiger moth and woolly bear.
I mean, that is it's a pretty good combo. I mean, when you think about how many different superheroes get their powers from some kind of a bug bite or something along those lines, it does make sense. It does make sense. Well, so you've been doing the podcast now for quite a while, I think. Correct me if I'm
About
A little
wrong.
over a
and a half.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, where can people listen? What should they know about? I guess if they go in and listen for the first time.
You can find us pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. Apple, Podbean,
Spotify.
Spotify, iHeart Music, all the places. The best spot to find the one that you like best is just our website, bugsneedheroes.com. And from there, you can click on an episode of a bug that you love. Every episode standalone. You don't need to listen to a previous episode to know, other than you get to know, well, the wacky world that is Amanda and Kelly talking to each other.
I love it. Well, Amanda and Kelly, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being a part of, being willing to come out here and talk about this, talk about the bugs and the Bugs Need Heroes podcast. Everybody can go check that out, as you mentioned, wherever podcasts are. And anything else you want to add?
Oh, just thank you so much for having us. We really
Bugs are
appreciate it.
friends.
Yeah, bugs
Yeah.
are friends.
Bugs are friends.
Yeah, some of them. Okay, all right. Amanda, Kelly, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye. And thank you everybody too for joining us here for Fox 12 Now. Appreciate that greatly. So here's what's going to happen next. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes, and we've got another guest that's coming up. So it's 1:25. We're streaming live on social media. We're on Facebook and YouTube, but we're also on the website and apps. So once we're done here, we're going to switch back over to there, and then we will get ready for our next guest. We're actually going to be talking about Veterans Day and some career opportunities for veterans in cybersecurity. It is a really, apparently a really great field for veterans to go into. I've got one who's going to be joining us. She'll talk about her journey into that and some of the free training opportunities that are out there. So we're switching gears a little bit, but if you want to share this episode, go ahead and do that off of YouTube or Facebook, or of course you can go to the Fox 12 Oregon app. There's the Fox 12 Now button right on there. So whatever you're watching on, you can download that and check out all of our episodes as well. But we're going to take a break for right now. We'll be back soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.